Talk. Billy D here. Join us on Twitter at Cascade Hoop Talk. Hey, we're on day 2 of our announcement of our Cascade Hoop Crossroad Cascade Classic. Today, we're really honored to have 2 really fine coaches, both friends of mine, who will be hosting the Classic in 2022. It's going to occur in Winona Lake at Grace College. We'll have Scott Moore on. And in 2023, it'll occur in Klamath Falls, Oregon at Oregon Tech. And Justin Parnell is the head coach there. So hang on and they'll join us here in a moment. Cascade Hoops, this is Billy D. Hey, I got Scott Moore, Grace Lancer's head coach, along with Justin Parnell. If we can get them to behave for a few minutes, I'd like to talk to them about the upcoming tournament. Scott, you're going to host the Crossroads Cascade Classic the first year. Talk about what it means to Grace College to be hosting this tournament and part of this tournament.
Yeah, well, thanks, Billy. What was kind of cool was an idea that, you mainly kind of put together, and I know we talked about it briefly, how neat it would be just to do something like this. And then sure enough, we just you got in touch with the right people and talked to a few more, and we put it in pencil. So I'm excited. I think first off, the teams that are in the tournament, you couldn't have asked for better stories. I mean, obviously to have Oregon Tech, obviously one of the powerhouses, probably the Mount Rushmore of our NAIA Basketball. Part of it, you have we don't say the full name, but the B word, the team up north here in blue. You got the Pilots involved, which was fantastic. Obviously, they're great tradition, especially there in the 90s and 2000s here, and then us, and then you got you're pretty excited about this young group Bushnell that's coming along. And did some research with them, and it sounds like Eddie's got a good squad coming up. So I think the teams in general, getting these powerhouse teams is pretty awesome. Just the story, the history of the programs. But 2, anytime you can go across the country and bring 2 top conferences together, I think that's good for our sport and each one of our leagues. Obviously, the Crossroads League has had a lot of respect for the Cascade and vice versa. It's something we always talk about every year, who's in the Cascade that's making a run, and it seems like 6-7 teams. And sure enough, you get to the national tournament and you get deeper into the tournament, and guess who's left? There's Crossroads teams and there's Cascade teams. So it's neat to kind of be a part of this, and a 2-year deal we kind of started. We get a chance to host it first in Winona Lake, and couldn't be more excited.
Justin, it's first time ever in program history you're going to take the Hustlin' Owls out to Indiana to play a basketball game. I mean, talk to me what it means to your program, to the conference.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Billy, thanks for being a champion of this event and making sure it happened. I think it's something a lot of us always thought would be really cool, but you're kind of in an NAIA school, traveling across country budget-wise isn't always in the cards. But, we're really excited. Like Scott said, the 2 conferences are when it was 2 divisions, the Crossroads and the Cascade were 2 of the better conferences, if not the 2 best conferences in the country. And to be able to bring out 2 really good teams from each conference and to play each other and kind of a crossover, I think it's really good for the game. And I hope that you see this a lot more, in the NAIA. As far as, us coming out there, we have such a, storied history, obviously, with Bethel. And, Rico Swanson beating us at the buzzer in the 98 national championship. And then, the storied history playing Grace in the national tournament. I know Coach Wetzler was when they won it in 08. Grace is one of the teams that they beat. So, I think mostly there's just so much respect for that conference and especially these 2 programs. And then, Bushnell coming out with us is formerly Northwest Christian. You might look at the record or whatever in the last 2 or 3 years and not think that maybe they're one of the, the top 1 or 2 or 3 teams in the Cascade Conference, but just wait. I mean, their young talent is exceptional. Eddie does an awesome job. They're going to be good this coming year, and then the next year they're going to be really good. So we're just excited. It's going to be a test. And I think in the past, the school of scheduling was you'll schedule a lot of wins in the preseason and then do what you can in league and get yourself to the national tournament. But being on the national Raider and on the national selection committee, that's just not how it works anymore. We're going to look at strength of schedule, who you've played. And the best part about this is we get a pretty good gauge of, how good are these teams on the West Coast that are going to come out and, and hopefully compete, win or lose. But it will give us a really good idea of the level of these teams. And in the past, say you go out there and lose 2, it might hurt you. I don't think it hurts you anymore. So I just think it's something that I hope a lot of conferences take a look at and do as well.
Well, obviously we have to get this 2-year deal behind us, but I think all of our vision is, and both of you guys have kind of touched on it, schools are going to have to play tougher schedules in the preseason. I think this tournament is going to be a real vehicle. If anything, this tournament has an opportunity to grow. You have 2 amazing schools willing to host it. Scott, I can't wait to get out there in a couple months and finally get to a game there in Winona Lake. I've been to, I think, about 50,000 of them in Danny Miles Court. But the 2 amazing places to play basketball, and we just look forward to, growing this tournament, if anything.
For sure. We're excited.
So this, I thought I talked to you guys about this a moment ago, but I think one of the more interesting, there's a bunch of storylines here, but Scott, you just recruited a kid out of Bar Reeve, and he's the leading assist leader in Indiana basketball history, high school. I don't care what level you're at. That's an amazing feat in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, it's and we'll talk about Justin's kid here in a second too, because it's kind of a unique story. But we actually, it's interesting recruiting. We had a good class come in, and one thing we were looking for is just, a bigger guard that kind of fit our system a little bit. And we're actually recruiting another young man at a holiday tournament, one of the more popular tournaments in Indiana during Christmas time. And we're sitting here and we're watching this team play. And obviously Bar Reeve is a storied program here in Indiana. It's a small school, but they just continually just win and win and win. And they're in this tournament playing against these giant teams, just these, 4A, which is the highest level in Indiana. And they're beating these teams. They're playing with the top ranked teams in the state at the highest level. And we're watching this kid and we're like, who in the world is this kid? He's throwing passes and his court vision is just incredible. And it's a position, that I played. I look for intangibles that I like in that position. And I was like, man, he's got something special. Well, then we did more research and I was asking, Bryson, is like, hey, you average like 8.5 assists a game. You got to be like close to, some sort of record or something, just thinking the single season. He's like, yeah, I'm about 40 away from breaking the all-time record. And I still don't understand. I was like, okay, I don't even know what that means, the record and the season record. So I'm telling everybody, hey, he's gonna break the single season record in assists. And then pretty soon you start seeing on social media, he's like, no, he's 40 away from breaking like the all-time career assists in Indiana. It's like 880 or something like that. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. It's unbelievable. So yeah, he set the all-time records with about 5 or 6 games left, I think, in the season. Just great kid, great vision. Pretty excited just to put him around our pieces.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. That'll be fun to watch. And then Scott already alluded to it, Justin, but you have coming in as a freshman. He played a little bit in the spring season. Well, I don't remember what you played, 6 games or something. But Jameson Guerrera out of Sherwood, he's one of the leading assist leaders in the state of Oregon high school basketball history, and that kid can really see the court as well.
Yeah, Jameson can really see the floor. Yeah, he led the state of Oregon in assists his junior and senior year, and then we kind of saw a snapshot of it this last year, in our 7-game or whatever spring league that we were able to play. But yeah, Jameson, the best thing about Jameson is he's a really high quality kid. I mean, he's a really good leader. I remember we do these talks before practice every day. Every kid does one, and we just go through coaches and kids, and we call them thought talks, and they're anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And for an 18-year-old freshman, he was the very first kid to give a thought talk last year, and you were just shocked at the way he was talking and the way he put himself. And then you add that with his ability to play, see the floor, and score. And we've been really fortunate here with great point guards. You go all the way back to, Lavelle Hessia, Sammy Fotu, and Todd Matthews, and Bobby Hunter, and just all these great players. And then obviously, who I think is the best player in program history, Mitchell Fink, who just graduated. So you add Jameson into that, and I think that's why we're so excited about our group. And then we also have Cam Osborne, who we have 2 exceptional point guards. Cam, who we're hoping to move off the ball a little bit, so he can get the minutes that he deserves. But yeah, great player, and I just can't stress enough, he's even better kid.
So I think that we'll definitely get both of you on before the season starts. But Scott, you kind of talked about it a little bit. I mean, what are you expecting out of the Lancers this year?
I've been doing this long. This is my 13th season. Obviously, it would be my third as a head coach, but I was with Coach, for a while there and with my older brother in Mount Vernon. But you get a better sense of kind of where your kids are at in comparative to the league and things like that. And I always felt like, if we can be, contender in the league, then obviously that's going to put us in good way. Contender national scene as well. And I know that Justin can say that same thing about the Cascade. So, we've got a lot of young guys just because of the COVID rule, just some reclassifications and stuff, but we've got experienced kids. But, honestly, I don't know. I think we're talented. I think we're starting to get kind of the scheme that we want. And, just listening to Justin talk, I think one thing that's going to be fun about this game and this tournament is I think that Oregon Tech specifically, I can't really speak to Northwest Christian or Bushnell right now, but I think Oregon Tech and our style, although our kids may look a little different, our play is very similar. We both typically have a really high possession game. We both rebound the crap out of the ball. We're both high assist teams, like to score the basketball. So, just listening to recruit, his type of guys is oddly enough, it's kind of the same type of guys that we look for. So, I think we get a chance to compete here. And I think just like the Cascade Conference is, heck, a couple shots go our way, a couple possessions go our way. I think we got enough pieces where we could be really good. But at the same point, you can find yourself in 8th place pretty easily if the ball bounces, one possession in the wrong direction. So, again, a good nucleus of kids. Should be a decent year. I'm excited. We got a couple rematches here. We got that matchup with West Virginia Tech that I'm excited about. We were supposed to play in the national tournament a couple years ago. So James is going to bring his guys out for a tournament. But no, pretty excited. And, man, just pumped to have a season. I know we had more of a season than they did in the West Coast, but just excited for some sort of maybe normalcy this year, hopefully.
So, Justin, I mean, fans in Klamath Falls are a little bit spoiled by Oregon Tech basketball. They didn't get it last year. Boy, fans just want to see some hoop. Like I say, I'll get you on before the season starts, but just talk about the team a little bit.
Yeah, we get multiple calls every day about when season tickets are going to be available. And I imagine our first game next year will be a pretty big crowd, or this year will be a pretty big crowd. For this town, it's just an incredible basketball town. And, you go anywhere and you're going to see Oregon Tech or you're going to hear about Oregon Tech basketball, and just makes this a special place that it is. And but Scott said it well. You just never know with your team. I mean, 2 years ago, the year after we went to the national championship game, we were rolling, and then all of a sudden lost 4 guys, and you're scraping. And so you just never know. A lot of things got to go well. People got to stay healthy. Shots got to fall. But I'm not going to go full blown Danny Miles and say it's going to be the best team ever, because that was part of his genius that he just instilled that in his players. And whether he believed it or not, as a player, you believe, like, yeah, we're on the best team that Oregon Tech's ever had. And like I said, it's just part of his genius. So we actually have that sign in our locker room, be the best team ever. And what it means is we're just, we're going to try to hold ourselves to that standard that those great teams did. And if we do and we get a chance, we're going to try to be that best team ever. But I think with us, we have all of our seniors back from last year, which is great. We have great size, we have good length, but nothing really changed from last year. I mean, I think if you were to talk about Oregon Tech last year, you'd say, they do have great veteran play, they have good size, but, they have young guards, and that's true. And that hasn't changed because they haven't played in front of, 2,500 at College of Idaho, or took a 10-hour trip to Lewiston and had to play LC State. So, they haven't done those things, and we still have a lot to prove. But I think as far as talent, I think we're as good as we've been in a while. Our size is really good. I mean, there's lineups we have, I think, that we can go 6'9", 6'10", 6'7", and do some different things defensively. So, we're really hopeful. If the coaches can get out of their way, they might have a good shot. But we're just excited to actually play this year and compete for that Cascade Conference title.
There's one other aspect of this tournament that we have to bring up is both Oregon Tech and Grace College, 2 of the most historic coaches in NAIA history, and you both followed them up. So, Scott, you followed Kessler and Justin, you obviously followed Danny. I mean, just talk about the significance of that.
Who are those guys?
Yeah, you kind of broke up there. Yeah. It was really, I'll tell you what, it was really easy. It was simple. We had no pressure. I'm sure Justin had it really simple, but I think the cool thing is I can speak for myself. Like, I think, being in the program and experiencing that, and I'm sure Justin was very similar in his relationship with Danny. You already have two of the most respected, not just basketball coaches, but men in the country. And not only our level, like they're known, at all levels. Everybody knew Coach K, and everybody knew Coach Miles, and not just for being basketball genius, but just the type of men they were and the men that they created. And I think the best thing that, Justin and I got to experience is we got to be under them. And, I can't speak for Coach Parnell, but like for me, I never thought about that stuff. Like I never thought about, oh man, I got to replace a legend. What I felt like was I have an opportunity to take something that's already great and just find ways to kind of just keep it going and even look for ways to make it better. And the philosophy essentially never changed, right? It's still Grace basketball. We still have that big G across our chest. We're still stand for the same things and play for the same things. It just may look a little different. And I thought if we could do that, all that other stuff, honestly, it wasn't that difficult.
And Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I just wake up every morning and try not to screw it up here, But in all seriousness, you could look at it as a burden, or you could look at it as just a great opportunity, and that's what I tried to do here. And we had some really good assistants that still are with us that kind of kept us rolling. But Danny always said it really well that it took him about 28 years to figure things out, and he felt that if I was his assistant for a couple of years, he could teach me all those things that took him 28 years. And it's true, because as a coach, there's only two ways to become better, and that's to experience a lot of failure and learn along the way, and then to have a great mentor. And if you have a great mentor, you can definitely speed that process up. And just to have him, one phone call away, talk to him multiple times a week, is pretty special for me. And then the community was great when we took over. I never felt personally that there was that much pressure. I mean, they loved our kids, and it helped that we were pretty good right off the bat. But I've never felt that there's a ton of pressure on us. We just try to recruit really good kids, and hopefully they're talented, and we win some ball games. And Oregon Tech's just a really special place to work. But kind of a cool story. The year before Danny's last year, we went to the Final Four together in Houston, and it was kind of a little farewell. He was kind of passing the torch to me. And if you know Danny, like, he walks everywhere. Like 10 miles, we're going to walk to lunch. It's nuts. And we weren't taking public transportation. We were walking to the national championship game. I believe it was the year Villanova hit the buzzer beater. And oddly enough, as we took off from the hotel, Coach K was right there, and we walked the whole way. So for me, as a 28-year-old going to take over, to have about an hour and a half walk with those two guys was really cool. And I don't think I realized it until we just, started talking on this call about how neat that was. And he shared a ton of stories, and well as Danny. So kind of a cool piece of history there. But no, we're excited here in Klamath. We're excited to go out to Grace. Obviously that's going to be incredible. Go play basketball where basketball is meant to be played. And then for them to come out here, I'm excited for them to see the community support that we have, in the 2,500 that are going to come out. They're not just going to watch our game. They're going to be there to watch the game before too. So this town will really show out and support this event.
Absolutely. And Scott, it's like 4,600 feet on the court, just so you know. Just a tidbit.
He's cake, man.
Hey, I really want to thank both you guys for sticking with me as we pulled this thing together. It had an opportunity to fall apart about 7 times, but you two stuck with me, and it was not easy to pull this tournament over the finish line, but it's become a reality, and I tell you, I feel like a kid at Christmas morning.
Well, thank you. I can speak for on behalf of us. Again, I think the more we can get, like, people just don't understand NAIA basketball still. Like, I'm sure they understand it, kind of in the general area where these teams are located. And, if you live within 30, 40 minutes of, Oregon Tech basketball, all about it. Same thing here. If you live in northern Indiana, like, you're going to know the Crossroads because our schools are all 40 minutes apart from each other. But, this is something that, like, these are big time programs, and these guys are big time, like, after college professional level players. And the more we can do stuff like this, where we can make it as big time as possible, we're going to get in a plane, we're going to fly across the country, and we're going to go play a top 5 team in the country immediately out of the gate. Like, I think that stuff is awesome. I think it's needed. I think more teams in the NAIA, need to jump on this a little bit and even start going a little bit more crossover. I just think it brings positive attention to our level of basketball and really gets it out there and kind of gives us a platform to work with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The old school scheduling just, it's just not going to help teams anymore, and I think that's a huge positive. Because if you play, 2 or 3 cupcakes every year throughout your 4-year career, I mean, that's almost half a season you're playing games that don't really mean anything. And, there's getting to be less and less of those cupcake-style games that really don't exist anymore. But just to go out and compete, and there was a way to do scheduling to try to get in a national tournament in the past. For our league, you just felt like if you go 21-9, you're going to get in, and you're always watching that. And now, I mean, teams, you look at the NCAA tournament, there's teams that get in that are, 17-13 or whatever, and they deserve to be in there. And I think now you're going to see that happen in the NAIA with the, going to the selection committee. And now I think these tournaments like we're going to play, this Crossroads Cascade Challenge, is the perfect way to do it. And teams don't need to be afraid to go out and say you do lose one. You say you lose 2. I mean, I just think there's more positives that come out of it. And at the end of the day, it's a much better experience for the kids, and that's why we're here. So,
yep. And I think the guys on our teams, I know I can speak for Justin in this, where we say, we're not interested, like, we're competitive, and we don't want to just win 21 games. I mean, I understand that there's more purpose to what we're doing, but look, at the end of the day, I want to cut down nets, I want to hang a banner, and that's Justin's goals too, and that's Bushnell's goal, and that's Steve's goal at Bethel, and Greg's goal at Indiana Wesleyan, and St. Francis, and all. Like, that's what we're trying to do. So I think for us to play the best teams in the country, it's only going to put us in another level so that when we get an opportunity, we'll have better success in a national tournament.
And I'm going to add one more piece to what I agree with whatever you guys have said, everything you've said, but I'm going to add one more piece. I think another winner in it is the fan. I can tell you as a fan, the game changed to me when I started understanding who West Virginia Tech was, who Grace was, who Indiana Wesleyan was, who Bethel was, instead of just a name you'd see at the end of the year at the national tournament. The NAIA kind of took focus to me when I understood that. And I think the more that we can do and what we're doing exactly with this tournament is going to put those teams that are always just a name at the end of the year on the national tournament, you're going to put them on your floor and you can watch them play in the preseason. I think it's going to dynamically change the landscape for the fan. That's my belief. I'm a bit of an optimist, but that's what I see.
Yeah, you're right. And, selfishly for, the Klamath Basin, they've kind of seen the same, 15, 20 teams over the years just because that's the way we had to schedule. And, we bring, like Antelope Valley has come to our tournament a lot, and those are always great games. But to bring in somebody else that, all of our fans know Bethel and Grace, but they probably have never seen them. Mm-hmm. And I think to bring that to our home court is going to be pretty special here. I think I'm obviously looking forward to going out and playing in Indiana, but, bringing those 2, phenomenal teams out here is just going to be kind of a treat for this community.
Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time. Scott, I'll be out there, and boy, it's only 2 months from now. Look forward to being out there for your tournament. And Justin, I hope to see you very, very soon at a basketball game near you. So thank you very much, you guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Yep, appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.